Hello, this is my first video, and in this video what we are going to do is we are just gonna write a very simple application in which using the Spring framework we will enter values into a database using the JdbcTemplate class. Now JdbcTemplate class basically is the one which provides you with the methods using which you can execute the queries in order to put database into the put values into the database, or select or retrieve values, or delete all the database operations. You can do it using JdbcTemplate class in Spring framework. Now here, if you see, we've got this one table that is called as I've made a database called as Spring Test DB, and in which I've made a table that is called as person table, person TBL. It got three fields. One is person ID, first name and last name. And this is an auto increment. The first one, person ID, is an auto increment and the primary key. The next two are the first name and last name, and self-explanatory. Now first what we have to do is we'll create a package, we'll create a project, that is Java project, and let's call it Spring Try. And now we just finish it. Second, as you see here, we need some external jars which are going to help us in including the Spring behavior in our application. What we need is we need a common login, we need log4j, and we need dom4j first, and then after that we need the Spring. We need basically spring.jar. Then furthermore what we require is basically it's common dbcp and common pools. After that, what we require is, for the database we require a driver, and that driver basically is MySQL driver, and it is connector Java. So we say okay, now our application basically is going to have a Spring behavior. First of all, let's write a person class. That person class basically will represent the table, person table, and we'll have three fields: ID, first name and last name. We give the package called com.springtry, and we call this class as person. Now we say finish, and what we're going to do is we'll just write the getters and setters strings ID. Now this ID basically in the database is integer type, auto increment, but we will just call this as string. We have to generate all the getters and setters, then we'll just simple getters and setters, we'll generate it through source, and we'll say generate getters and setters for all three of them. We got the setters and the getters. Next thing what we do is we'll just implement, we need an interface that is going to be, we'll call it person DAO. This is our interface, and we'll say finish. In this interface, actually what we're going to do is we'll create the values to the database. So we'll call this, we'll get one method that is public void create method, and here we'll pass person, and this is our interface. Very simple interface with only one method that is called as create. What we're gonna do is now we'll implement this interface in that class is person DAO implementation. Now this person DAO implementation will be the implementation of the class, and when we say implements person DAO, it will ask to implement a method called public void create, and it will be person. This method, what we're going to do is we'll use JdbcTemplate in order to create database field value or insert a tuple into a database. Now this JdbcTemplate basically provides a method called update. This method requires a SQL and params. Params are basically the parameters that will be set to our query. Now before that, what we do is, as we will be using SQL, we will be using inversion of control or dependency injection, so we require the getters and setters of this method as well, this variable as well. So we just generate getters and setters, and we got the getters and setters for this method. Now what we do is we're just gonna get it like this: dot get JdbcTemplate dot update SQL. We require SQL that will be a string type variable that is going to insert into person table, and the first name and the last name, and the values will be extracted from the param. Now we'll set the object type, which is basically params, and it's going to be object, and the parameters will be the person.get first name, whatever the user sets, and person.get last name, whatever the user sets. And that is more like it. And what we can do is we'll say system.out.println. We'll just type a message: value or person added successfully, and that's it. Now if you see, we're done with our implementation. What we have to do now is we have to initialize this JDBC template. In order to initialize this JDBC template, it requires a data source, so we have to initialize the data source as well. And on the user side, we want to provide an instance of person DAO as well.